The god of slaughter stood amidst the corpses of god-tier beasts, his body broken but his spirit victorious. To his horror, his closest friend Zhang Xuan appeared not to celebrate, but to demand the divine artifact. The sting of betrayal deepened when his lover, Ren Zhaoman, drove a blade into his gut while whispering lies of love. As his life faded, Suming vowed on his very soul to hunt them all down if he were ever reborn. Suddenly, the cold grip of death vanished, replaced by the bright, noisy hall of his old high school academy. He realized with a jolt that he had regressed 10 years into the past, to the day of the awakening ceremony. Nearby, Zhang Xuan was boasting about his innate talent, completely unaware that his victim now held the keys to the future. Suming saw Jiao in the crowd, the woman who had died trying to save him in his previous life. When his name was called, Suming stepped toward the heavenly stele, ready to claim a power that would rival the gods. As his hand touched the stone, the air rippled with the arrival of the divine ring of defiance from his past life. The system declared him a 10-star talent, but labeled his profession as a mere sword controller to the crowd's mockery. Suming smiled inwardly, knowing that this weak profession was actually the precursor to the legendary sword god. Ren Zhaoman approached him with fake kindness, but he brushed her off with a coldness that left her stunned. He knew he needed better equipment for the upcoming novice dungeon and headed straight for the city's weapon store. Using his eye of intense skill, he bypassed expensive fakes to find a hidden treasure among the scrap stones. For a few measly coins, he extracted the black iron Crimson Edge, a silver-tier sword that drank the blood of its enemies. That night he met Ren Zhaoman on the roof, not for a date but to draw the first blood of his revenge. With a single swift strike, he disfigured the face of the woman who had used him, ending their false bond forever. The next morning, Suming prepared to enter the novice dungeon where his true ascension would begin. He declined all party invitations, preferring to face the most dangerous hidden path alone. The interior of the dungeon was familiar, a place of death he had conquered many times before. He quickly encountered a mutated ape king, a beast that had slaughtered many rookies in his past life. Using the divine shadow step, he moved faster than the beast's eyes could follow, delivering a lethal finisher. The system broadcasted his achievement to the entire world. The first blood of the dungeon had been drawn. While other students struggled with simple rats, Suming was already hunting the Wolf King to further boost his levels. Each draw of his blade resulted in another monster falling, his efficiency unmatched by any other rookie. To his amusement, he reached level 10 and triggered his profession change quest much earlier than expected. He diverted his path to the Red Rock Cave, the lair of a powerful elite goblin chieftain. Inside, he unleashed the sword control skill for the first time, telekinetically guiding his blade through waves of enemies. He effortlessly cleared the cave, leaving the local bullies who tried to ambush him in absolute shock. Deep within a hidden cavern, he saved Zhang Yinqing from a swarm of goblins, securing a powerful healer as an ally. His sublimation talent transformed a silver treasure chest into a gold one, granting him the powerful Shadow Flow set. Sensing Jiao was in danger, he rushed across the dungeon to find her being hunted by a sadistic rival from another city. He arrived just in time to block a fatal blow, his eyes burning with the protective rage of a god. The rival warrior was no match for Suming's combined skills, forced to flee using an expensive life-saving artifact. With his team assembled, Suming turned his eyes toward the hidden boss of the dungeon, the Lost Knight of the Lake. He solved the ancient riddles of the lake, triggering a massive whirlpool that summoned the legendary knight. The battle was fierce, but Suming's tactical brilliance and high speed eventually brought the guardian to its knees. He shared the legendary loot with his loyal teammates, ensuring they would grow strong enough to stand by his side. As the dungeon closed, Suming stood at level 16, the unrivaled champion of the Academy's new generation. Suming walked away from the cheering crowd without looking back once. He knew that reaching level 16 was merely the first step in his long-term plan. The ring of defiance hummed against his skin, urging him toward the restricted zone. He needed the soul of the Shadow Stalker to complete his first hidden profession change. Nearby, a group of struggling students backed away from a swarm of elite mobs. Among them was Li Yan, the future Shield Saint who had died protecting the front lines in the past life. Suming couldn't let his most loyal comrade fall before their journey even began. He vanished from his position, leaving only a crack in the stone floor behind. A swarm of void crawlers lunged at the defenseless students with venomous fangs. Suming's blade whistled through the air, carving a path of destruction through the monsters. Li Yan watched in disbelief as the high-level mobs were decimated in a single breath. "Stay back if you want to live," Suming commanded without turning his head. The ground began to vibrate with a frequency that made the students' teeth ache. A massive rift of darkness tore open in the center of the chamber. The Shadow Stalker emerged, its presence suffocating everyone in the room except for Suming. Suming's lips curled into a predatory smile as he recognized his prey. He activated his hidden skill, Sword Domain, instantly freezing the shadows in place. The Shadow Stalker let out a piercing screech that echoed through the entire dungeon. Suming leaped into the air, dancing between the monster's lethal shadow claws with ease. He knew the boss's pattern from 1,000 battles fought in his previous life. With a surge of mana, his iron sword transformed into a beam of pure light. He plunged the blade deep into the monster's core, releasing a shockwave of energy. The beast dissolved into black particles, leaving behind a glowing purple crystal. A system message flashed before Suming's eyes, announcing his hidden class advancement. "Profession change complete. You are now the Spectral Sword God," the voice echoed in his mind. He ignored the notifications and turned toward the trembling group of students. Li Yan stepped forward and bowed deeply, his voice shaking with respect. "I don't need your thanks, just keep your mouth shut about what you saw here," Suming said coolly. He knew that if the Academy found out about his true power, his plan for revenge would be compromised. Somewhere in the Academy, Zhang Xuan was likely celebrating his own mediocre achievements. Suming tightened his grip on his hilt, imagining the look on his traitorous friend's face. He checked his stats and saw that his strength had tripled since the morning. As he exited the dungeon, the leaderboard at the entrance began to update automatically. The name Anonymous shot past the Academy's top geniuses to the #1 spot. Suming watched from the shadows as the professors scrambled to find the mysterious top ranker. He had successfully diverted their attention while building his own foundation. But he knew that the Sky Tower would be the real test of his new abilities. Suddenly, the ring of defiance pulsed with a violent heat against his finger. A message appeared in red text: "Temporal anomaly detected. The timeline is shifting." A figure draped in a silver cloak appeared at the end of the alley, blocking his path. This person shouldn't have appeared for another 3 years according to his memories. "You shouldn't be here, God of Slaughter," the figure whispered in a voice that shook his soul. Before Suming could react, the space around him began to shatter like glass. The secret of his regression was no longer his own, and a new predator had entered the game. Suming stood before the massive crystalline gates of the 100th floor of the Sky Tower. He tightened his grip on the hilt of his black iron blade as the air began to vibrate. The final guardian, a gargantuan spectral knight made of pure energy, materialized from the mist. Suming vanished in a blur of motion, leaving behind a trail of blue afterimages. He unleashed the heaven-shattering strike as he collided with the guardian's shield. While the guardian was staggered, Suming calculated the precise path to its core. With one final thrust, he pierced the spectral heart, causing the giant to shatter into thousands of mana shards. But his victory was interrupted by the sudden activation of a high-level illusionary barrier. Zhang Xuan stepped out from the shadows, flanked by 12 elite assassins in crimson masks. Suming looked at his former friend, feeling the weight of the ring of defiance pulsing on his finger. "You should have stayed dead," Zhang Xuan shouted as he signaled the assassins to attack. The assassins moved like shadows, surrounding Suming from every angle simultaneously. Suming closed his eyes, sensing the flow of mana through the very air around him. In a heartbeat, he activated the omnidirectional sword rain skill. The assassins were shredded instantly, their illusionary bodies dissolving into mist. Zhang Xuan's face paled as he realized his elite squad had been neutralized in seconds. Suming walked through the smoke, his footsteps echoing like a funeral march. In a fit of panic, Zhang Xuan drew a cursed red scroll and crushed it in his hand. His body began to mutate, growing twice its size as demonic scales covered his skin. Suming watched the transformation with an expression of pure disgust. "You sold your humanity just to lose a second time," Suming whispered coldly. The demonized Zhang Xuan roared, swinging his massive claymore with enough force to shatter the platform. Su-ming leaped into the air, dancing between the falling debris with supernatural grace. He parried the giant blade, the impact creating a ring of fire that cleared the mist. Su-ming spotted the weak point in the monster's armor where the scroll's energy was most concentrated. He funneled all his remaining mana into a single definitive strike. God of Slaughter's secret art, eternal requiem, he chanted as he moved through the monster. A split second later, the demonized creature was cut into a million pieces by invisible threads of light. As Zhang Xuan fell, the demonic energy faded, leaving behind a broken, dying man. Su-ming looked down at him, but there was no more hate left in his eyes, only pity. "The debt is paid," Su-ming said as Zhang Xuan drew his final breath. The illusionary barrier shattered, revealing the sunrise over the horizon of the tower's summit. Su-ming's allies rushed to the top, cheering as they saw him standing victoriously. They celebrated the end of the dark era that would have been thanks to one man's regression. Su-ming looked at the Ring of Defiance, which had now turned into a simple, non-glowing silver band. He realized his task was finally complete and he could live a life without the burden of the past. He walked toward the exit, ready to build a future where strength served the many, not the few. The world would remember the name Su-ming not as a god of slaughter but as its greatest protector. The legend of the Sword God was finally rewritten in the ink of peace.